Chairman of the full committee, Chairman Walberg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for this hearing. I think the answer why we're looking at one specific issue today, one specific entity, is it's just illustrative of so much that goes on that we definitely ought to have concern about. That monolithic entity called U.S. Department of Education has failed, and all that is surrounding that, we're starting to find there's a lot of cancer in the system. And today, as we talk about liberal bias versus conservative bias, I think even more importantly, we're seeing a bias in opposition to the American idea. That isn't liberal or conservative, it's American. That certainly speaks to merit and all the rest that goes with it. Dr. Hess and the rest of the panel, thank you for being here. But let me ask you, I want to talk about the Truman Foundation's response to your research. Thank you for that research. After you found liberal winners outnumbered conservatives 12-1, the Truman Foundation responded by hiding the evidence. That never works too well. Can you talk more about what they hid and why that makes it more difficult to replicate your study?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for the question, sir. What's so frustrating about their response is they said nothing to see here, and then they made sure that nobody could see anything. So what they did is, for as long as I've been aware, certainly for a number of years, at least to 2015, they have routinely had bios of Truman Fellows on the website, intended primarily to show off these folks. What Joe Pitts and I did was we said, all right, let's just look at what these people are studying. Let's not talk about their politics. Let's talk about what they're studying and whether it seems reflective of the kinds of issues that are important to this country and that reflect the broad swath of views and values of American college students and of the American tax-paying and voting public. They removed those. They also then went ahead and hid past press releases bragging about the winners so that only those with a Truman account can actually go back and look at this. So then when they complain about the nature of the study, they complain about the study at the same time they've made it impossible for anybody to actually assess the virtue.
Yeah, except those they want to see the system. Okay, thank you. Ms. Kabani, you mentioned that the Truman Foundation selects students from almost every state. Why has that practice failed to ensure that conservative students get a fair chance?
Well, our research has found that the Truman scholars that are selected from red states are often going on to Democratic careers and progressive causes. You're from Michigan, and we've found 12 of the scholars over the last several years. 7 of them were Democratic and progressive, and 0 were Republican, and 5 we couldn't determine. But essentially, the problem is these Truman Fellows are very influential. Again, they're the cream of the crop, and so it's not spreading the opportunity to everybody to get this kind of support and networking, because they're lobbying, they're working for lawmakers, they're consulting, they're working for very influential liberal-leaning law firms, and so they're having a big influence on our nation's conversation and on what legislation is brought forth. This isn't just a $3 million scholarship. This is the direction of our country and those that are leading it. And so the problem needs to be reformed because it's absolutely not fair to 50% of American taxpayers.
Yeah. And certainly it doesn't even come close to, in many states, the percentage of the makeup of the congressional delegation as well. And we're not asking for that, but we're asking for a fair approach to it. Thank you. Mr. Kissel, one downstream effect of Truman bias is that students at universities considered right-leaning are effectively disqualified, at least it appears, from competing for the award. You touched on this in your testimony, but in history, how many Truman winners have come from colleges such as, in my district, Hillsdale College, or Liberty University, or Patrick Henry College?
Thank you for the question. Out of the entire history of the Truman Scholarship Program, only one out of any of those universities you mentioned, one from Hillsdale, has won a Truman Scholarship, 0 from the others. And if you look at right-leaning or faith-based institutions, it's an extremely, extremely small number.
Okay. Thank you. My time has expired. I yield back.
Thank you. And I'll recognize my friend.